Good morning, dear students. Today we are going to discuss about male genital system. We'll see what are the various organs of the male genital system, and in detail we'll study about the testis. Male genital system, it consists of number of sex organs that play a role in the process of human reproduction. Now these organs are located on the outside of the body and within the pelvis. Male genital system includes the testis, vas deferens, seminal vesicles, and ejaculatory ducts. Now the testes are suspended into the scrotum by the spermatic cord. The prostate and bulbourethral glands act as accessory sex glands which exhibit prominent growth in post-pubertal life. So, male external genitalia comprises of the scrotum and the penis. Dear students, in this diagram we can make out the testis which is suspended in the scrotum, vas deferens or the ductus deferens, and the epididymis. In this picture we can make out the ductus deferens and the seminal vesicles with the ejaculatory ducts, the prostate gland and the bulbourethral glands. So this prostate and the bulbourethral glands, they act as the accessory sex glands, so which exhibit prominent growth in the post-pubertal life. Let us discuss in detail about the testes. The testes are a pair of male reproductive gonads, and they are homologous with the ovaries in females. They are ellipsoid in form and suspended in the scrotum by corresponding spermatic cord, as you can see in this picture. So the testes are suspended in the scrotum by means of the spermatic cord. Now left testis lies about 1 centimeter below the right one. So there is a slight difference. As lower temperature is required for spermatogenesis, the testes are placed outside the pelvic cavity in the scrotal sac. Now in this picture we can make out that the left testis is slightly lower than the right testis. So these are a pair of gonads present in the males, and they are homologous with the ovary in females. Now these testes are responsible for the production of sperms and the secretion of male sex hormone, that is testosterone. So we have seen the shape of the testes, that they are oval or elliptical in shape. Now let us discuss about the measurements of the testis. The average measurements of the adult testis are: the length is 5 centimeters, breadth is 2.5 centimeters, thickness from anterior to posterior is 3 centimeters. The weight of the testis is between 10.5 to 14 grams. Coming to the parts of the testis. The testis consist of two ends, the upper end and the lower end. You can see the upper pole and the lower pole. Two borders, the anterior border, as you can see in this picture, this is the anterior border of the testis, and this is the posterior border of the testis. And two surfaces, this is lateral surface, and inside we have the medial surface. So these are the parts of testis, that it consists of upper pole and the lower pole, anterior border, posterior border, lateral surface, and towards medially we have medial surface. The upper end or the upper pole of the testis, it is overlapped by the head of the epididymis and connected to the later by efferent ductules. So remember that the upper pole or the upper end of the testis, it is related to the head of the epididymis, or it is overlapped by the head of the epididymis. Now the upper end gives attachment to a fibrofatty body known as the appendix of testis. So as you can make out in this diagram, so this is a fibrofatty tissue which is known as the appendix of the testis. It represents embryonic remnant of the Mullerian duct. Okay, remember this is very important. The appendix of the testis is a remnant of the Mullerian duct. So this will be discussed in detail in the embryology of the reproductive system. Now coming to the lower end or the lower pole of the testis, it is connected to the tail of the epididymis. As you can see, this is the tail of the epididymis by areolar tissue and tunica vaginalis, which is the outermost layer covering the testis. So this is about the upper end and the lower end of the testis. The upper end, it is overlapped by the head of the epididymis, whereas the lower end, it is connected to the tail of the epididymis by areolar tissue and the tunica vaginalis, which is outer covering of the testis. Coming to the anterior border of the testis, the anterior border, as you can see in this diagram, it is smooth and convex, whereas the posterior border is broad and flat. As you can see in this diagram, the posterior border is broad and it is flat, and it is occupied posterolaterally by the body of the epididymis. You can see in this diagram, this is the body of the epididymis. So posterolaterally it is occupied by the body of the epididymis, and posteromedially by the vas deferens. Posteromedially by the vas deferens. Actually in this picture we cannot make out the vas deferens, but posteromedially it is occupied by the vas deferens and posterolaterally by the body of the epididymis. Now the spermatic cord attached to the upper part of the posterior border of the testis, that you have to remember. Now that is about the anterior border and the posterior border. Let us discuss about the medial surface. Okay, it is towards the medial side. The medial surface is smooth and convex, whereas the lateral surface is convex, smooth and overlapped posteriorly by the epididymis. Now which is separated from the testis by a sinus of the epididymis. This is very important. So lateral surface is convex and smooth, overlapped posteriorly by the epididymis. Now this epididymis, it is separated from the testis by a sinus. As you can see in this gap, the sinus of the epididymis. So this sinus helps in the determination of the side of the testis. If the sinus is on the right side, we say right testis. If it is present on the left side, we say left testis. That this is important from the practical examination point of view, where they'll ask you the side determination of the testis. Okay, so that time you have to look for the sinus of the epididymis. So if it is present on the right side, we say it is the right testis. So sinus of the epididymis is a gap present between the epididymis and the lateral surface of the testis, that you have to remember. Okay dear students, so for the determination of the side of the testis, you have to look for the sinus of the epididymis, which is present between the epididymis and the lateral surface. So you have to look at the lateral surface. So if the sinus is present on the lateral surface, based on the presence of sinus of epididymis on the lateral surface, we can determine the side of the testis. Now let us discuss about epididymis. Now epididymis is a comma-shaped body situated along the lateral part of the posterior border of the testis. So it is situated along the lateral part of the posterior border of the testis and consists of head, as you can see in this picture, body and tail. So this is the tail of the epididymis, body of the epididymis and head of the epididymis. Now the head is formed by coiling of efferent ductules. So you can see here these are the efferent ductules. So the head, it is formed by the coiling of efferent ductules. Now what are these efferent ductules? So efferent ductules are series of parallel thin delicate tubules that connect retitestis to a single tube, that is epididymis. Okay, so these are efferent ductules. So the head of the epididymis, it is formed by coiling of the efferent ductules. Now each coiled mass is conical in shape and forms lobules of the epididymis. Now sometimes the head gives attachment to the appendix of the epididymis, which is the remnant of the degenerated cephalic part of the mesonephros, that you have to remember. Now the body and tail of the epididymis, this is the body and this is the tail of the epididymis, are formed by the coiling of a single duct canal of the epididymis. So from the tail, vas deferens begins as a continuation of the canal of epididymis. So we can see here the ductus deferens or the vas deferens. So body and tail of the epididymis are formed by coiling of a single duct canal of the epididymis, and from the tail, the vas deferens or the ductus deferens begins as a continuation of the canal of the epididymis. So I told you the head of the epididymis, it is formed by coiling of the efferent ductules. Now each coiled mass is conical in shape and forms lobules of the epididymis. So these are the lobules of the epididymis, you have to remember. So the head of the epididymis, it is formed by the coiling of the efferent ductules, right? So each coiled mass is conical in shape and forms lobules of the epididymis. Okay, this you have to remember. And sometimes the head of the epididymis gives attachment to the appendix of the epididymis, so which is a remnant of the degenerated part of the mesonephros. Now coming to the coverings of the testis. Now each testis presents three intrinsic coverings, or the capsules. From outside inwards, the visceral layer of tunica vaginalis, tunica albuginea and tunica vasculosa. So these are the three layers which are covering the testis from outside inward. So we can make out here the visceral layer of the tunica vaginalis, then the tunica albuginea, then we have the tunica vasculosa, which is a vascular layer. Now visceral layer of tunica vaginalis covers the testis and epididymis. So this tunica vaginalis, it has got parietal layer and the visceral layer. So visceral layer, it covers the testis and also the epididymis, except at the posterior border. So beyond the testis, the visceral layer is continuous with the parietal layer, forming closed vaginal sac which is developed from the distal part of the processus vaginalis of the peritoneum. So this you have to remember. So beyond the testis, the visceral layer of the tunica albuginea is continuous with the parietal layer, forming a closed vaginal sac which is developed from the distal part of the processus vaginalis of the peritoneum. Now tunica albuginea is a thick fibrous membrane. You can see here the tunica albuginea is a thick fibrous membrane which invests the entire testis and projects into the interior of the organ. So this tunica albuginea, so it penetrates into the testis, or you can say from interior of the organ, from posterior border, as incomplete vertical partition known as mediastinum testis. So the mediastinum testis, it is a mass of connective tissue. It is a mass of connective tissue at the back of the testis that is continuous externally with the tunica albuginea and internally with the interlobular septa, and it encloses the retitestis. So that is the mediastinum testis, we say. So these are the coverings of the testis from outside to inside. We have visceral layer of the tunica vaginalis, then the tunica albuginea, and tunica vasculosa. So you must know what is mediastinum testis. Remember, mediastinum testis is a massive connective tissue at the back of the testis. So that is continuous externally with the tunica albuginea and internally with the interlobular septa, and it encloses the rete testis. So in this diagram we can make out the various coverings of the testis. This is actually the parietal layer of the tunica vaginalis. Then we have the testis covered by visceral layer of tunica vaginalis. So inside it we found the tunica albuginea. Then further inside we find the tunica vasculosa, which is a vascular layer of the testis. Let us discuss about the tunica vasculosa. So tunica vasculosa, it is a vascular layer or the innermost layer of the testis. It is an areolar and vascular membrane which lines the individual lobule of the testis. So extensive coverings of the testis are contributed by the layers of scrotum. So we can see here from inwards of the skin, then we see the Darter's muscle, the external spermatic fascia, we can see the cremasteric muscle, we can see, and cremasteric fascia. Then we have internal spermatic fascia and parietal layer of tunica vaginalis. So these are the extrinsic coverings of the testis contributed by layers of scrotum, and consist from inwards of skin, the Darter's muscle, the external spermatic fascia, the cremasteric muscle and fascia, internal spermatic fascia, and parietal layer of tunica vaginalis. So this is actually, we can say, from outside inward. We have to use the word outside to inside. So starting from the skin of the scrotum, then the Darter's muscle, right, and the external spermatic fascia, the cremasteric muscle and fascia, internal spermatic fascia, and parietal layer of tunica vaginalis. So these are the various coverings of the testis. So in this diagram we can make out the tunica vasculosa. So tunica vasculosa is the innermost layer of the testis. It invests the inner surface of the tunica albuginea and different septa in the interior of the testis, and therefore it forms an internal investment to all the spaces of which the gland is composed of. Coming to the macroscopic structure of the testis, or you can say the interior of the testis. So each lobule of the testis contains 1 to 3 seminiferous tubules and interstitial cells of leading. So each lobe of the testis, it contains 1 to 3 seminiferous tubules and interstitial cells of the leading. Now the seminiferous tubule consists of convoluted part in front and straight part behind. So when uncoiled, the length of each tubule is about 2 feet, that is 70 to 80 centimeters. So the total number of tubules in each testis is about 400 to 600. The straight parts of the seminiferous tubules, they ascend in the mediastinum testis, join with the adjacent tubules to form a plexiform network of tubules, which is known as the rete testis. So as you can see in this diagram, so this what I can say, the plexiform network of the tubules known as the rete testis, it is very, very important. It comes as a very short notes in the exam. So remember, the straight parts of the seminiferous tubules ascend in the mediastinum testis, join with the adjacent tubules and form a plexiform network of tubules, which is known as the rete testis. About 12 to 20 efferent ductules arise from the upper part. So end of the rete testis and enter the head of the epididymis. So each ductule forms cone-shaped coiled mass, the tubule of the epididymis. When uncoiled, the length of the ductule is about 6 to 8 inches or 15 to 20 centimeters. The efferent ductules, these are the efferent ductules. So these efferent ductules unite to form single duct, the canal of the epididymis, which is known as the canal of the epididymis. So these are the I can say the efferent ductules which form a single duct, which is known as the canal of epididymis, which by convolution forms body and the tail of the epididymis. So when uncoiled, the length of the canal is about 20 feet, 6 meters. Sometimes the superior and inferior afferent ductules are connected to the canal of the epididymis respectively at the head and tail of the organ. The aberrant ductules are remnant of the proximal and distal mesonephric tubule. So this you will be learning in the embryology classes. So that was about interior of the testis. Now moving on to the arterial supply of the testis. It is mostly supplied by testicular artery, which is a branch directly from the abdominal aorta. The testicular artery, it is a branch from the abdominal aorta. So the testis is partly supplied by the artery to vas deferens, which is a branch from the superior or inferior cervical artery. Sometimes it is supplied by cremasteric artery, a branch from inferior epigastric. So the arteries of the testis are longitudinal and anastomosed with one another. Coming to the venous drainage of the testis, it is very important from the examination point of view. About 15 to 20 veins from the posterior border of the testis and epididymis unite to form a pampaniform plexus of veins. They unite at the posterior border of the testis and they form pampaniform plexus of veins. Now, which produce the bulk of the spermatic cord. Now, at the superficial inguinal ring, the plexus unites to form 4 veins. At the superficial inguinal ring, the pampaniform plexus unite to form 4 veins, and at the deep inguinal ring, they further join to form 2 veins. So at the superficial inguinal ring, they form 4 veins, and at the deep inguinal ring, they form 2 veins. Finally, a single vein is formed in the posterior abdominal wall. The right testicular vein, remember this, the right testicular vein drains into the inferior vena cava, whereas the left testicular vein drains into the left renal vein, and the portion of inferior vena cava which receives the right testicular vein is developed from the anastomosis between the right supracardinal and right subcardinal veins. So the anastomosis of the corresponding veins on the left side incorporates the development of left renal vein. So this is the reason it explains the dissimilar termination of the 2 testicular veins. So what you have to remember, that the right testicular vein drains into the inferior vena cava directly, whereas the left testicular vein drains into the left renal vein. Coming to the lymphatic drainage and nerve supply, the lymphatics of the testis drain into pre and para-aortic lymph nodes following the course of the testicular blood vessels. Then the nerve supply, the testis is predominantly supplied by sympathetic nerves from the aortic plexuses. The preganglionic fibers are derived from 10th and 11th thoracic segments of the spinal cord. Coming to the applied anatomy related to the testis, number 1, the hydrocele. So hydrocele, it is a condition wherein you see accumulation of fluid within the tunica vaginalis or any persisting part of the processus vaginalis. So this condition is known as the hydrocele. So we can also see the hydrocele sac. So I repeat, the hydrocele of the testis is nothing but it is the accumulation of fluid within the tunica vaginalis or any persisting part of the processus vaginalis. This condition is known as hydrocele. Coming to the one more condition related to the testis, varicocele. Now it is a condition where the pampiniform plexus of veins, they become tortuous. The pampiniform plexus of veins, they become tortuous and dilated, and they form a palpable mass like a bag of worms, we can say. So it is more commonly felt on the left side due to the left testicular vein drains into the left renal vein at right angles. So hence the venous pressure is high in the left testicular vein, whereas the right vein drains into at an acute angle into the inferior vena cava. So these varicoceles are common in the left side, more common on the left side because the left testicular vein drains into the left renal vein at right angles. So hence the venous pressure is high in the left testicular vein. This you remember, they may ask you in viva. The other reason could be the compression of left testicular vein by loaded colon, blockage of entry of left testicular vein by malignant tumor of left kidney, that is also one of the reason. Coming to the last slide, one more clinical condition associated with the testis, that is the torsion of the testis. Now this is an emergency condition where the testis rotates around the spermatic cord within the scrotum. Now this is associated with the severe pain. So this condition is known as the torsion of the testis, where the testis rotates around the spermatic cord within the scrotum and it is associated with a severe pain. So we also have like the testicular tumors. The benign tumor is a teratoma, the spermatic cyst we have, and malignant tumors is the seminoma, we say. Now the mumps are the orchitis. So inflammation of the testicles is called orchitis. Remember, the inflammation of the testicle is known as the orchitis. It can be due to bacterial or the viral infection. So most common cause of inflammation of the testis is due to the mumps virus. So dear students, with this we have completed the organs of the genital system, the male genital system, and detail we have discussed about the testis. So you must know what are the various measurements of the testis and what are the various parts of the testis, various surfaces and borders, and regarding the interior of the testis and the coverings of the testis, blood supply, nerve supply, and the lymphatic drainage. So it is very, very important question from the examination point of view. So in the next class we will be discussing about the male external genitalia. Okay, thank you very much.